Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
Apple Max. Take it to the max.
Want to just get out of town with your friends and family? Are you having a corporate getaway and have no adequate transport? Then this here is what you need to listen to. A brand new 35-seater Yutong luxury bus is now up for hire at an affordable and negotiable rate. It comes fully equipped with aircon, TV for your relaxation, music soothing your trip, and DVD players to give you variety. Book now by calling 0955 0966 or 977 844 141.
What makes the new Yo-Yo Chipsy so unique? 100% natural ingredients. Nothing artificial. Just a pure experience of freshness. Chipsy potato chips. We know you'll love them.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill. Have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Your jungle.
To begin the news, we take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines. Supreme Court rules and declares Nevas Mumba as MMD official candidate. Lusaka High Court adjourns Miles Sampa's case to Monday. The Lusaka City Council former workers storm local government ministry in demand of terminal benefits. And in international news, Boko Haram kills dozens in northeast Nigeria. For more on these stories, do stay tuned. For the news in detail, my name is Gwen Wheeler. The Lusaka High Court has adjourned the case in which Material Member of Parliament, Mao Sampa, is requesting the Lusaka High Court to join the consent judgment. Presiding Judge Mungeni Mlenga stated that she has criminal cases pending and would spend the whole day on Friday hearing the matters. During the session, Sampa's lawyers insisted that their client's application be heard first before the contempt case. Mr. Sampa's lawyer, Sebastian Zulu, stated that Mao Sampa's application for a jointer must be heard first, notwithstanding the contempt charges before court. And speaking to the media, one of Honorable Lungu's lawyers, Tresford Charlie, says taking the case to High Court will not take away any procedures and regulations. Meanwhile, Material Member of Parliament, Mao Sampa, has withdrawn his application to stay the judgment of Edgar Lungu as PF party president.
Honorable Mao Sampa to join the case in which a consent judgment was entered in favor of Honorable Edgar Lungu. That is a case the Supreme Court sent back to be heard. So before that case could be heard, the lawyers for Edgar Lungu, we filed what we call a preliminary issue, an issue in limine, an issue that must be heard first before the application is heard. And our question was whether Mao Sampa must be heard on his application to join the case when he has committed contempt. And we insisted that issue must be heard first because contempt is criminal. Criminal cases take precedent over civil cases. The judge agreed, and we argued the application for whether Mao's must be heard or not. And then we have argued that he cannot be heard to join the case because he's a contemptor. The proceedings must be stayed. The issue of him joining must first be suspended until Mao Sampa clears off his contempt. Whenever that will be, that's when his joinder should be heard.
Meanwhile, the Supreme Court has ruled that Dr. Nevas Mumba is the official presidential candidate for MMD to contest the forthcoming presidential by-elections. The National Executive Committee had suspended Nevas Mumba and adopted Rupia Banda as the MMD presidential candidate. The Supreme Court ruled that the judge erred by failing to consider facts submitted by Nevas Mumba in his application for an interim court injunction. The court ruled that the court injunction given to Mumba by the High Court was lawfully issued at expert stage but not properly discharged at the inter-party hearing. The Supreme Court also dismissed two preliminary issues raised by Muhabi Lungu. There was jubilation at the Supreme Court by Dr. Mumba's supporters, and Muhabi Lungu quickly left the court in disbelief. The Engineering Institute of Zambia has observed that Zambia has the potential to develop high infrastructure with good engineers in place. Speaking at a media cocktail in Lusaka, EIZ President Bernard Chwala noted that a shortfall of qualified engineers has costed the country of properly developed projects. Mr. Chwala says the institute is working on modalities on how to start training and monitoring engineers. Meanwhile, Mr. Chwala has disclosed that EIZ requires about 50 million kwacha for the construction of a newly and modern EIZ headquarters to be based in the Lusaka's showgrounds.
Which will change our infrastructure going forward. And we believe that with the input of the engineers, those in construction and in consulting, we'll be able to add value to this matter. In terms of accreditation of institutions of learning that offer engineering courses, we have a plan to have this thing commence next year so that we are able to check all the trade institutes, the universities and colleges in terms of their capacity, laboratories, and the kind of lecturers that are delivering the process. The other thing that we set out to do this year is to begin the construction of the EIZ HQ near arcades there. I'd like to report that we've already done the perimeter wall and guardhouse, and we've already awarded a contractor who is on site to begin constructing the EIZ. This is a 2-year project, and it's going to cost us for the 7 million, and contractor is on the ground.
And speaking at the same event, Mr. Zambia Chapter Chairperson Helen Mwali has commended EIZ for the initiative, saying media interactive is cardinal. Ms. Mwali said this is the only way that media can understand some professional terminologies used by engineering experts. Ms. Mwali has since challenged EIZ to come up with media awards to attract more journalists in reporting about the engineering sector.
Zambia believes that engineering plays a key role in ensuring development in Zambia and environmental sustainability through its various discoveries and analysis, among other things. First of all, before I go further, I would like to congratulate you, Mr. President, for the work that the EIZ is doing and for the huge number of membership. I really didn't know that EIZ has such a huge number. Consequently, the role of the media in disseminating information around engineering becomes very vital, and Mr. Zambia welcomes these kinds of interaction by EIZ, in that the media learns more of what the engineers in this country are doing and how they are contributing to the betterment of our country.
The United Party for National Development President Hakainde Hichilema says calls to have acting president Dr. Guy Scott removed as acting president are unjustifiable. In a media statement to Prime TV, Mr. Hichilema said with barely a month to go to the elections, Dr. Scott should be left to oversee the transition period. Mr. Hichilema says the PF are discontent with Dr. Scott just because he has shown true leadership of not allowing the ruling party to use government resources and machinery during the PF's campaigns. And Mr. Hichilema has urged the PF to internally deal with their wrangles to avoid a spillover to the entire country. He said the internal wrangles have the potential to disrupt a smooth election. And a political activist, Dante Saunders, has cautioned the PF against using the law for their own interests. Mr. Saunders says there is nothing wrong with the 14 cabinet ministers calling for the resignation of Dr. Scott from the party as long as their calls do not infringe on his capacity as the country acting president. He says it is worrying that some party officials are making alarming statements which are likely to cause anarchy in the country, especially that the PF is the party in power. Mr. Saunders has since called on Dr. Scott to immediately put a halt to the confusion that has engulfed the party.
If you want to expel Guy Scott from your party, you can go ahead and expel him from your party. But there's a problem in the sense that that party is now in government, and which means that Guy Scott is a representative of that party. And as a representative of that party, he automatically assumes the role of president of the entire nation. Not only of that party, but all other political parties. As such, he must be seen to be carrying out rules and regulations as per the country constitution. Because we have our own constitution as a country. Just like every other political parties may have their own constitution, as a country we have a constitution. And that is the law that Guy Scott has sworn to uphold. So, if there's a conflict between Guy Scott and his party, then these issues can best be resolved in a court of law.
The Southern African Center for Constructive Resolutions of Disputes, SACOD, has commended the political parties that have successfully filed in their nominations. SACOD Executive Director Boniface Chembe says it is pleasing to note that so far the various parties that have filed in their nominations have not recorded any violence. He has called on the remaining parties to ensure they continue to maintain the peaceful nature that the other parties have demonstrated. Meanwhile, Mr. Chembe says the vote of no confidence by passed by the 14 cabinet ministers yesterday, in acting President Dr. Guy Scott appealed to the ruling party to be proactive and dialogue over the way forward ahead of the elections and in the interest of their supporters.
We are the fact that this filing in started on a very peaceful note, which is good because it affords the people of Zambia an opportunity to see which candidates are filing in and exactly what it is that they want to do for the people of Zambia. And our hope is that political leaders will continue to maintain this peaceful nature of filing in their nominations, and that supporters continue to remain calm and simply support their candidates so that everything that we do between now and the presidential election is peaceful. Related to the filing in of nominations is the largely peaceful character with which the campaigns have been characterized thus far. But in as much as there is a court case going on, it is incumbent and imperative upon the top leadership of the ruling Patriotic Front to be proactive and see to it that they put aside their differences and be willing to sit down in dialogue over how best they can move forward as a party.
Before we take a break, still to come in the news, Supreme Court rules and declares Nevers Mumba as MMD presidential candidate. The Lusaka High Court adjourns Miles Sampa's case to Monday. Do stay tuned.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. Zesco, powering the nation.
What's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill. Have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. Some students from Evelyn Horn College, NIPA, and the University of Zambia are dismayed with the ongoing infighting in the ruling PF. Speaking at a media briefing at Protea Hotel in Lusaka, the students explained that the PF are not showing a good example, especially that they are the party in government. Speaking on behalf of other students, NIPA Vice President Kawina Barton advised the party to rally behind one candidate instead of the fighting against one another. And speaking at the same event, youth activist Cassius Akapelwa stated that all PF members should rally behind Edgar Lungu as he is the most popular candidate in the party. Mr. Akapelwa explained that Mr. Lungu's popularity is non-questionable, judging from the people supporting him in both the government and ordinary Zambians.
The infighting in the ruling PF has continued to raise eyebrows among several stakeholders. The student movement has now voiced out, saying there is no need for PF members to continue antagonizing one another. Speaking at a media briefing Thursday morning, the students who were represented by NIPA Vice President Kawina Barton called for peace in the ruling party.
I think what we are seeing in the nation currently is devastating. Why? Because you see this person is trying to fight for power, but do they really have the heart for the people? That's a question that we need to ask ourselves. And if the question is people are hungry for power, we youth should give a direction, because we are the people that decides who's going to be a president for this nation, who's going to take over. And so, if you and I will remain silent, I say only a foolish person will remain silent when things are not okay.
And former Evelyn Horn College Student Union President Chela Mwelwa reiterated the need for the members to rally behind one candidate.
A true leader is he who leads through others. So if these leaders who have a lot of interest to lead this nation, let them show their great leadership through one person. There will never be a time when we're going to have 3 presidents in Zambia. There will never be a time when we're going to have 2 presidents in Zambia. There will never be a time when we're not going to have a president in Zambia. Therefore, there will always be a time when we're going to have 1 president in Zambia. I would love to advise, despite being young, our able leaders that let us throw our able weights beyond one person, and we'll see the greatest that will come out of this nation.
Youth activist Cassius Akapelwa said it is a well-known fact that Edgar Lungu is the most popular candidate among other candidates in the party, hence the need for everyone to rally behind him.
We would love to see a situation where the most popular candidate within Patriotic Front, who is Honorable Edgar Lungu, to take it all. It's a sheer waste of time. It's a sheer waste of time that we should be raising unnecessary dust. At the end of the day, we very well know who the most popular candidate is. Who is Edgar Lungu? So the question here is, as young people, what is it that we are thinking? What is it that we wish to see?
The students who were in attendance at the press briefing were from NIPA, Evelyn Horn College, and Unza. Kalan Mchima, reporting for Prime TV News in Lusaka.
The Zambia Police Service has assured the general public that as a principal law enforcement agency in the country, it will continue to enforce the law fairly and firmly to all the citizens before, during and after the 20th January presidential elections. According to a statement made available to Prime TV News by Police Deputy Public Relations Officer Ray Hamonga, says contrary to reports in the Saturday Post newspaper, edition number 6630 of 13 December 2014, under the story headlined, Lungu will go to jail, Masebo, that the Inspector General of Police had been instructed by Honorable Lungu to provide him with personal security when he traveled to Mongu. The police deputy spokesperson has further clarified that all the officers that were deployed for the role were not working from State House Police as reported in the story. The Lusaka City Council retirees stormed the Ministry of Local Government to demand for their terminal benefits. The former employees who have not been paid their money say that they did not know what government is thinking regarding their money. They have charged that they will not rest until their money is given to them before elections. Speaking to Prime TV, the workers say it is sad that even Lusaka Mayor Mlenga Sata has failed to help them get their money. Lusaka City Council retirees are demanding for their benefits, which the council has not paid since 2013.
Lusaka City Council retirees have been demanding for their benefits since 2013, and government is still reluctant on their terminal benefits. Today, some Lusaka City Council retirees stormed the Ministry of Local Government in search of Minister of Local Government Emmanuel Chenda to know government's position on their retirement money.
Notice kuti atitana minister sana titane nomba chifuka chanjala ife tabwera 2012 kufika chino chaka 2014 muntu wa moyo sanga nkhale wosadya ife chisomo cha Mulungu mpamene tilankhula koma tinachosedwa ntchito na kalata ilipo ndipo zizibisa kuti 6 months ukonzeke mubwero landire ndalama zako koma 6 months rombo yapanga 3 years.
Koma yathu ya Zambia we are citizen. Then why yakuti tikaenda pa retire sitipasiwa ndalama? Is it a crime to be retired? Tifuna government tipase ndalama za retirement yatu, ma package yatu. Not kupasa muntu ma pay slow. pay slow muntu after wasebenza 30 years mwamene akambira amayi then akuza tuzitenga advance ni uja muntu wa retirement olo ni muntu ali panchito.
They have charged that they will not rest until the money is being given before elections. Confirming the development to Prime TV, these retirees have accused Lusaka Mayor Mlenga Saddam that he told them that there is nothing he can do to pay them their money, for he depended on the father.
Bamlenga bakamba kuti inenezo chetekera muri batati so batati bamwalira kuliba chamene ngachite meti zachita bwanji se bameti zachita because bebe ndiye benekera kutandiza baje bati kusokolo meti zachita bwanji ni kamtumolo isatikera kutali sebena tukera kwachazanga transport every day samubwera kunchito ndano tsambo kuzichosa kuti
bwabuteko watu wamene ulipo ulemu bapaza ku bantu bamene tonse kupeleka ko maripoti azi makansela bantu bali pa nchito kuti tubapase ripoti kuti situtenga ndrama sibatukambirako kabili basebenza bebe na kulandira balandira na kudala ivi kunalibe manje chioneza hivyo kopeleka ripoti kusoba tubwele kuli ba minister batuuza vile.
It is therefore important to see to it that government pays these retirees their money before elections. Prince Kaza reporting, Prime TV News, Lusaka.
Electoral Commission of Zambia has warned political parties and aspiring presidential candidates against using other people's cards and NRCs. ECZ Public Relations Manager Chris Akufuna says it is an offense for a registered voter to possess a voter's card and NRC belonging to another person. Mr. Akufuna has asked political leaders to ensure that their supporters carry proper and legal documents for their leaders during nominations. He adds that any person who is found with another person's card will be prosecuted. Mr. Akufuna said this in a statement released to Prime TV in Lusaka. The warning by Mr. Akufuna comes after 6 supporters of Green Party aspiring candidate Mr. Peter Sinkamba were arrested after being found with other people's voters' cards and NRCs. The Forum for Democracy and Development President Edith Nawakwi has successfully filed in her nominations at the Supreme Court. Ms. Nawakwi says time has come for people to decide and vote for a decent party because the country is in wrong hands. She says time for people to do away with the culture of violence is now, and it is important to maintain unity and peace in the country. Ms. Nawakwi was speaking soon after filing in her nominations at the Supreme Court in Lusaka. She arrived at Supreme Court after 10 o'clock in company of her husband, Mr. Godfrey Hambulo, and her daughter, Nyambose, including party officials. Ms. Nawakwi enjoyed full support by her followers when they turned up in large numbers to give her the support. The supporters sang songs of solidarity and change in favor of the FDD leader.
Madam Nawakwi will go through the papers, and all the papers are validly held. So I wish to announce that validly nominated
This is an indication that we are truly in this to win. I want all of you to know that today marks a turning point in our country's history. We have started a journey, and this journey is a journey where we must say no to violence. This journey ahead of us is a journey where everybody must wake up and say that those in office are nothing but servants of the people.
United Poor People's Party President Alex Mulyokela has failed to file in his nominations. I beg your pardon? United Poor People's Party President Alex Mulyokela has failed to file in his nominations at the Supreme Court after failing to raise the required amount. And UPP President Alex Mulyokela has requested Electoral Commission of Zambia for more time to enable him file in his nomination papers before Acting Chief Justice Ms. Lombe Chiwesakunda. The 2015 aspiring presidential candidate told ECZ officials for an upward adjustment in the ongoing nomination exercise. Mr. Mlyokela has also not yet paid registration fee for his party with the Registrar of Societies. Meanwhile, National Restoration Party President Elias Chipimo has successfully filed in his nominations. Before we take a break, still to come in the news, Boko Haram fighters have killed at least 32 people and kidnapped scores of others in a northeastern Nigerian village. More on this story after this break. Welcome back. Boko Haram fighters have killed 32 people and kidnapped scores of others in a northeastern Nigerian village, according to local officials and a witness, while neighboring Cameroon has said that its troops killed 116 Boko Haram fighters in a far north region. The Nigerian officials who requested anonymity said locals in the village of Gumsuri were still counting those abducted in the attack on Sunday in a remote isolated area in the Borno state, adding that the figure could pass 100 and included women and children. Details took 4 days to emerge because the mobile phone network has largely collapsed in the area roughly 70 kilometers south of Mount Guri, and many of the roads are impassable. Gumsuri is located on the road that leads to Chibok, where Boko Haram abducted more than 200 girls from a school in April. Kenyan lawmakers have traded blows and one had his shirt torn amid a chaotic parliamentary session called to push through a tough new security bill. Opposition MPs shouted and shredded copies of the bill, warning that Kenya was becoming a police state. 4 lawmakers were assaulted in one incident and 2 of them engaged in a fist fight in another incident. The speaker was forced to adjourn the debate for several hours before it resumed. The government says it needs more powers to fight military Islamists threatening Kenya's security. For more on international stories, we monitored Al Jazeera.
Half a century of hostility could be coming to a close. The United States and Cuba announced they'll be restoring diplomatic relations, but ending the country's economic embargo will still need approval by a reluctant U.S. Congress.
Today, the United States of America is changing its relationship with the people of Cuba. In the most significant changes in our policy in more than 50 years, we will end an outdated approach that for decades has failed to advance our interests, and instead we will begin to normalize relations between our two countries. Through these changes, we intend to create more opportunities for the American and Cuban people and begin a new chapter among the nations of the Americas.
Colombia's FARC rebels have declared they will lay down their weapons as long as Colombia's military doesn't attack. This is the most sweeping ceasefire announcement the Marxist group has made since the 1980s. 50 years of armed conflict has cost an estimated 220,000 lives. But Colombia's government has promised to continue military operations until a final deal is reached. Nigeria has sentenced 54 soldiers to death for refusing to fight the armed group Boko Haram. The soldiers were found guilty of charges including mutiny for refusing to recapture 3 towns held by the group. Jordan has introduced a draft resolution to the United Nations Security Council calling for an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands. Jordan has agreed to formally submit the resolution at a second meeting of Arab ambassadors, but the Palestinian ambassador says that doesn't mean a vote will take place yet. The UN's humanitarian chief has told Al Jazeera the funds raised for the Syrian crisis this year fell 50% short of what was needed. It's due to launch a new aid appeal within the coming hours. Pakistan's Prime Minister is promising to continue fighting terrorism after a Taliban attack on a school on Tuesday. The Pakistani Taliban has released photos of the men who carried out the attack, killing 142 people, mostly children. The Taliban says it was in retaliation for the military's offensive against them in the northwest of the country.
That roundup of international stories, we now come to the end of the news. But as we go, we leave you with the headlines. Supreme Court rules and declares Nevers Mumba as MMD presidential candidate. The Lusaka High Court adjourns Mao Sampa's case to Monday. The Lusaka City Council former workers storm local government ministry in demand of terminal benefits. And in international news, Boko Haram kills dozens in northeast Nigeria. Well, that's all we had for you on our main news bulletin. This has been Gwen Wheeler, and God bless.
You see, I have never fought with a lion. I have never hunted through the forest in pursuit of food. But I do have the fighting spirit. Because for decades, my people fought for freedom. And in 1964, we won. I love to do the Fwemba, the Kalela, the Kwasa Kwasa. I wear chitenge. So does my girlfriend. I eat crisps, not crisps. I love Nsima, Kapenta, Chihuahua, Delele. I'm Josh, and I'm proud to be Zambian.
iConnect, celebrating 50 years of Zambia's independence. Hashtag OnlyPazed. iConnect, make it happen.
Hey girl, what's your name? Let me talk to you for just a minute. Where you live and what you like to do?
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
Okay, I'm just trying to get with someone real cause you look so free. So let's chill, have a drink with a guy like me.
Apple Max, baby. You need to give me Apple Max, baby.
A quality product from Californian Beverages.
Potato sticks, freaky fries. Get that awesome crunch.
Would you wear all your favorite hats at the same time? Well, we wouldn't either. That is why we suggest you use only what you need. Switch off all electrical appliances and lights in unused rooms. Remember, use only what you need and save power today. Switch and save. ZESCO, powering the nation.